Hey, welcome everybody. Got a special show for you guys today. We got a man all the way from where you from, Ben? You from Atlanta, right?
I'm from Atlanta now. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I mean, you live in Atlanta now, but we
Yeah,
got
I live
Ben
in Atlanta.
Dixon
Yeah.
of the Ben Dixon podcast, all the way from Atlanta. I'd like to welcome on to Meme Knowledge with us this afternoon, man. We're gonna talk about Michael Bloomberg and his shenanigans, and get into the DNC a little bit, and just introduce yourself to the people, man. Let them know what you do, and
Yeah. Listen, thanks for having me. First and foremost, glad to be on the podcast with you. Definitely want to express the importance of podcasting in general, small podcast in particular, because I found that the best questions are asked on small podcasts, and they do a better work, in my opinion, than a lot of mainstream media. So thank you for this conversation. Ben Dixon, host of the Benjamin Dixon Show. It's a daily podcast where we cover presidential politics. About a week and a half ago, we uncovered we resurrected, I guess, because it was already there, the audio of Michael Bloomberg talking about stop and frisk that went viral and gave him a lot of headaches last week. And that's pretty much it, man. Like, I'm just a podcaster / journalist and / activist. It just depends on what needs to be done in that moment. And glad to be on the podcast with you.
no problem, sir. I appreciate that. So real quick, I want to touch on that. So you basically, like you said, you rediscovered it. You brought it back to light. The comments that were made by Michael Bloomberg. What was it? 5 years ago or so?
Yeah, it was at the Aspen Institute in 2015.
Yes, exactly. So, and then, so I'm pretty sure at this point, most people, if not like everybody listening to this again, like they've heard it. And, so kind of get into that, like what prompted you to even, did you like hear that before? And then you were like, oh, let me like get, bring that up, or were you just looking for, like stuff?
Yeah. So I was doing my regular routine. Like every morning I wake up and I help my wife get the kids out the house. Like last time I told the story, I said I get the kids out the house, and my wife snatched me up real quick. Said, listen, let me tell you something. She got real deep. She said, let me tell you something. You helped me get the kids out the house. Yeah. And I was like, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
You didn't do it.
I didn't do it. I assisted. And some mornings I don't even assist. So let me just set the record straight. So I wake up, and if my wife hasn't already solved all the problems, I get in there and I help a little bit with the kids, and then I go to research. But first thing I do, I sit down, I get the coffee, I sit down and I start researching. And that Monday morning, I decided to turn our attention from Pete Buttigieg, Mayor Pete, to Michael Bloomberg, because I felt like we had not vetted him enough. Yep. And more importantly, I felt like he was just laying in wait on the sideline, ready to pounce. And sure enough, he had not been vetted enough, because what I discovered, what I'm doing, I've done 100 interviews so far, and I'm getting all this attention over something that was on YouTube for 5 years. Now, that shows that my suspicion was correct. He was not being vetted, because it was sitting there. You should be talking to anybody else right now, right? This could have been discovered by anybody. So I didn't do anything particularly special outside of just doing the basic work that we're supposed to do every single day. And I just beat everybody to the punch because nobody was looking.
Absolutely. So to me, that showed that I think a lot, because I listen to a lot of progressive news. I listen to your podcast. I listen, I watch a lot of progressive news stations and independent news. I would say I personally don't watch
mainstream
cable news at all, right. And that's not even like a part of it is because I don't have TV. I don't have I don't watch TV in general. So I I just don't get around to watching cable news. But I see clips here and there. But
right.
but you're like, to me, that showed that you had the foresight. You know what I mean? Like you were like, okay, this is going to be important. Like this guy, right. Like I know it seemed obvious, right, to people that now in hindsight that like everybody knew Michael Bloomberg was going to be like important eventually, right?
Right.
But like you said, I feel like if people would have really, really thought that before, they would have done what you were doing, which was like let's see what's going on with this guy. So that shows.
Honestly, it took 3 Google searches, right? I typed in Michael Bloomberg stop and frisk. Yep. And then I stumbled onto a clip from Dana Loesch who was she most recently is of NRA TV, but they went out of business. But this clip was from 5 years ago when she was with Blaze TV,
Yeah.
and they had a really great clickbait title, which was Mayor Bloomberg's racist rant that attacks Black men's Second Amendment right. And I'm like,
Wow.
okay, they got a conservative spin to it. So I click on it,
Yeah.
and they didn't have any audio or any video, but they had words, right? They had a sentence there. So I Googled the sentence, Michael Bloomberg Xerox copy, right?
Yeah.
That's what he says, 95% in Xerox. I Googled that, then it comes to the Aspen Times article that showed how Michael Bloomberg tried to get away, asked him, or rather, he didn't try, he got away with having the Aspen Institute suppress it.
The video.
Right. And then I'm like, okay, there's got to be some video of this. So I went to YouTube and searched, and I didn't find video. I found really bad audio. And in terms of like what I did that nobody else, well, I mean, anybody could have done this, right? But I was able to do it by myself. I pulled the video, I cut it. I tweaked the audio so that it could be more audible. I got rid of some of the noise. Then I typed up the transcript, put subtitles in, put a slideshow together. Hour and a half worth of work later, I went to social media, and I did, like, I had the relationships to actually make this go viral, right? I was able to share it with people with comparable size audiences or even way larger audiences. And we were able to push it into the national conversation within one news cycle. And I think if anything, it's really the network that I have been operating in the last 5 years, 6 years that made us able to make that go viral.
Yeah, that's what it seemed. It seemed like you just like not lucky, but because you had the foundation laid, but it just seemed like it took off so fast. Because I feel like I heard it, like I rolled over. I'm West Coast time, but like I rolled over, and like I feel like as soon as you posted it, like I already knew. You know what I mean? Like I was like, oh, like what is, like what's this? And I listened to it, and here, and you can tell me if this. So I thought it was gonna be like doomsday for that guy when because it was so egregious what I was hearing. And mind you, I'm not I knew he was fully capable. I knew what he thought before he said it. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like I needed that tape to prove that that's what he thought. But once I heard the audio, I was like, okay, it's undeniable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the lefty, the Democratic, people who are like, Trump's the worst and we got to get rid of Trump. Like, of course, they're just going to be like, dude, we can't, we like Biden's not Bloomberg's not an option now. And do you think that has been the response, or like, how do you?
No, it's been the exact opposite. Right. So here's what happened. It turns out that my suspicions were more than correct. I was already behind the 8 ball. All of us were behind the 8 ball because for the last several months, Michael Bloomberg has been pouring $500 million, not 500,000, not 5 million, not 50 million, but $500 million in advertisements in states that are coming up on Super Tuesday. So what had happened was everyone had formed their opinion of Michael Bloomberg already based on the advertisements. And so now as we're presenting this evidence to them, and when I say them, I mean like the voters who have been inundated with all of these ads. Like by that time, Michael Bloomberg was their man. Yeah. And you had to overcome a huge barrier to help them to realize, no, Michael Bloomberg is a racist Republican oligarch, just like Donald Trump. Yeah. And we haven't won that battle yet, right? Yeah. We are locked into that battle right now, trying to convince people who fancy themselves to have the high moral ground above Donald Trump. We are now trying to convince them that the person that has purchased and manufactured their consent with $500 million is actually a Republican racist oligarch. Here's all the video evidence. Here's all the audio evidence. And what they're saying is, no, he's our guy. And here's why this is okay. You have people explaining away stop and frisk now. Right? Yeah. Justifying stop and frisk just so that they can defend their guy. So we were behind the 8 ball, even though I was ahead of everyone else by a couple of days or a day. Yeah. We are all behind the 8 ball because Michael Bloomberg has already spent $500 million.
He has a tremendous like wall built up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was getting so that, that's crazy. And it makes sense. You know what I mean? Like money is powerful and
so powerful.
The TV is powerful. The radio is still powerful. And I also want to point this out, like it's powerful with a specific demographic of people. It's not, you know what I mean? Like my friend sends me stuff all day long from like CNN and WAPO and, you know what I mean? All the major news outlets. Because he knows like, I don't see it, you know, like I'm not looking for it. But he he said he was like I know, like he was like, I don't know who's being affected by this, but I know people are being affected by this. And
Right.
I just kind of want you to like explain, who do you think are the people that are most, you know
you
what I mean,
trying to
like being
you,
affected by
you
by
trying to
this?
get me in trouble? Wait, nah,
No,
man.
I just want you to tell the people, because I've already said all this to
Yeah.
you know to,
So I think I'm going to confirm what you're going to say. Unfortunately, it is the people who are affected the most by this are the people who watch mainstream television, people who watch MSNBC,
yep,
people who watch CNN,
mhm,
people who are on Facebook,
yep,
people who play games like Words with Friends. You know, that's where all of his $500 million has gone, right? And we know who those people are. Those are our aunts,
yep,
those are our uncles, those are our mamas,
yep,
some of your pops,
yep,
nanas. You know, it's the older generation that have been bought in completely because they are desperate to get rid of Donald Trump. See, they see this as a fight um, between Democrats, America in general, and Donald Trump specifically. And
yeah,
so they're willing to do anything to get rid of Donald Trump. But the way I see it is that now they have gone so far, they've been scared so much of Donald Trump that they're now going from choosing between the lesser evil to selecting the greatest evil. Michael
yes,
Bloomberg is the ruling elite, and he is
yes.
stepping down from his throne in the billionaire pantheon to stop us from taxing them and to keep us from getting something as simple as Medicare for all.
That and that's, I mean, that's really disturbing. But I mean, on a whole other level, that in itself, that people can't see that when it's so if we were just doing it based on like money, right?
Yeah,
So who has the most money? Who has the most to lose? Michael
right.
Bloomberg laps Trump like by 10. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
he has so much more money than Donald Trump. So he has so much more to lose by this than Donald Trump even did. And you see what Donald Trump did once he got in
Right.
office. The first thing he did was boom, let's do a $2.1 trillion tax cut for the upper crust of the civil, you know what I mean, of
Yeah.
the country. And what do you think? What do you think Bloomberg is going to do when he gets into office?
See, and that's the thing, right? So Donald Trump is a moron.
Yes.
Donald Trump, and most of us, we've been saved by the fact that he's a complete Neanderthal. No
Yeah.
offense to Neanderthals, right? And the fact that Mayor Bloomberg is so much more methodical. Think about this: when he was mayor of New York, he went in. I believe he was worth about $2 billion. When he came out, he was worth $30 billion. That's and he did it all legally, right? Imagine and when I say legally, I mean like he didn't get caught for anything illegal, right? Not that all laws are just, but imagine what he'll do when he comes in and structures this. He will structure this 100% to his benefit because that's what he has a proven track record of doing at the expense of the most marginalized people, because that's what he has a track record of saying. He wants to cut Medicare, Medicaid, and increase copays for Medicaid recipients, people who are already the poorest in the community, and then cutting and increasing the age requirement for Social Security, increasing the age limit. You know, he's going to do a lot of specific things that are going to benefit him and directly harm us. And I can't believe that Republicans, or rather Democrats, have embraced this Republican so much.
Yes. Me either. But at the at the same time, I think I'm more. I think the craziest part about it is, I think that the people that are embracing him, the people that were more that were like the easiest group to persuade was older Black people,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that is really disheartening. Like for
Well,
me, like you know what I'm saying. I expected. So if you're in the 1%, right, or you're in the ten
mhm.
percent or whatever, you make 150 grand, 200 grand a year, whatever the case may be, um, and somebody is saying like a Bernie Sanders comes along, Elizabeth Warren comes along and say, hey, we want to tax, you know what I mean, like we want healthcare for all, and then how are we going to pay for it? The middle class is going to have to pay some more tax. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't. Okay, so I could kind of like put myself in those, in those people's shoes and go, okay, these people, they feel like they have something to lose. Like they don't want to give up, any of their money. They don't want to give up any of their power or any of their influence, whether you're talking about the middle class or up. You know what I mean? Like from
Mhm.
them on up,
Mhm.
right? So I get that, but but I would understand it more for them to rally behind like a Republican. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be Trump or Bloomberg, because both of them are Republicans, but like, like a tax cut for the wealthy, like those types of people, more like a libertarian point of view. Like
Yeah.
I would understand that more. but those, like, from what I've been seeing, the white liberal class have been like, no. Like on Bloomberg, a lot of them have been like, absolutely not. I'm not voting for him. And then the people that I personally am, like older black people are like, yo, Bloomberg's not so bad, or we got to get Trump out. Like you said, it's like Trump or nothing. So
right.
I kind of want people to understand how dangerous it is for us to have this ideology or this train of thought of like, Trump is the worst thing that can happen to us.
Right. What we've done is like I said a few moments ago, is if you're choosing between like a Biden and Trump, you are making the choice of the lesser evil, right? The greater evil, the lesser evil. But they've been so terrified of Trump that now they're embracing the greatest evil, right? They've run into the arms of the devil to get away from one of his imps, right?
Yeah.
I don't know whichever, because this is the boss. This is the big boss. Like you play those old 80 games in the 90s and stuff, and you thought you were done. You beat the boss on that level. All of a sudden the ground starts shaking, and here comes this big thing out of the ground, the big boss that you didn't even know was sitting there. Michael Bloomberg has just come and blindsided us. Now here, and this is the class warfare of our generation.
Absolutely.
I can't stress that enough. It's not glamorous. We're not in the streets with weapons, and we're not doing all the stuff that a lot of revolutionaries were waiting on. This is it, because he has come down from his throne of opulence in order to snatch away the last thing that we had in this country, which was the hope that we could use the electoral process to change our lives.
Yeah.
Now, back to your point in terms of like the older generation and being surprised. Here's why I'm not as surprised by it. I am hurt by it, but I'm not surprised. Because one, you have a lot of people on the Super Tuesday states where he's pouring in this $500 million that are not intimately aware of what happened in New York.
Yes.
They know the name Stop and Frisk, but they don't know the stories. They don't know like how it really changed an entire generation of young men, how it led to the death of some men, because in certain situations a kid ran, and in certain situations a kid may have resisted and ended up shot by the police officers. Like
or
we
like
don't.
Browder.
Exactly. Like we don't know the extent to which this actually led to the deaths of people. Nobody's done that investigation. So you have a lot of people in the South who aren't as intimately aware of it, and that's disappointing. But here's what's heartbreaking. You have some people in the South who were on the side of the 94, black people who were on the side of the 94 crime bill. Right.
Wow.
Because they justify, like they felt like this was the best way to handle the hooligans in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like let's not fool ourselves. Some of the largest voices that you can get to promote white supremacy will come from the black community.
Oh yeah, 100%. No doubt about it. No doubt about that.
Yeah.
No, go
So
ahead.
I mean, yeah, no, I mean that's basically it. So you had two groups. You have one group that isn't aware, and if we can inform them and show them, like, listen, this is who you're really supporting, then we can convince them. The other group, they never liked us niggas anyway, man. You know what I mean?
That's what that pretty much is what's like. That seemed it's the uppity class. You know what I'm saying? It's the uppity one. So I get it. And I know you in Atlanta, so I know you see them a lot more than
man. There's some bougie. I'll leave it alone.
Bougie ones. I'm in Cali.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so you know.
Everybody Hollywood and Cali poor rich. So I've been dealing with that, you know what I mean? But they uppity in a different type of way, not on some class stuff. They just on some like everybody want to be famous. But in Atlanta,
gotcha.
It's like old black money. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
They are basically like I envision all of them to be like a bunch of like what's the guy who owned the Bobcats? Robert Johnson?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I just expect them all to like look like Robert Johnson, and their wives to look like Oprah, and like that's just like
no, bro, no, their wives look like the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Let me tell you that.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes,
they got them some youngins out here, man. They and then the flip side of it, you got some sisters who the boss and who the ballers, and they got some dudes that's tagging along with them. So you got both dynamics here in Atlanta, bro.
You got the Stedmans and you got I get
it.
Yeah. So okay, so I wanna ask you about the upcoming the debate is tonight.
Yeah.
And what do you think is going to be like an important, like, okay, so I'm going to tell you what I think is going to happen tonight.
For sure.
And then you let me know if this, how do you think it's going to play out? So I think that the that Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, and probably Amy Klobuchar are going to go after Mike Bloomberg the hardest, right?
Okay.
The reason why is because they like I feel like they are the most like disconnected from him. Like their ideologies are the most disconnected. I
Yeah.
even, I know Amy doesn't really have an ideology and her
Yeah.
straight up status quo, but she's not as, the sexism and the, you know what I mean? Like she's like the identity politics part of it. She knows she can't really like bend the knee to him. Right. And
Right.
then,
Right.
I think Pete and Biden are going to like kind of try to stay out of the way because even though they should be the ones fighting the hardest against Bloomberg because he's the one sucking up all their juice right now.
Mm-hmm.
But just they know that I think they know what's like what's about to happen. You know what I mean? Like coming up, and I
Right.
think they're going to be vying. Especially Mayor Pete. He's trying to vie for like he needs a spot somewhere. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like so he's he doesn't
Yeah.
want to like
Mayor Pete and Joe Biden need us to bring down Bloomberg more than anybody else. Right.
absolutely.
And to be sure, like I've got a couple people from different campaigns in my DMs, trying to make sure I don't let the pressure up. And I'm like, I just kind of want to tell them, like, listen, fool, as soon as I let the pressure up off of Bloomberg, I'm putting our boot back down on
Back on
Biden
Pete.
and Pete.
We right back on y'all. As soon
Yeah, like, listen, don't think I forgot. Don't think I forgot. Y'all got to catch these rhetorical hands too, man. Like, we're not playing around, man. People need Medicare for all. People are literally dying, man.
Yep.
And y'all around here trying to posture and protect your position and power. And I'm like, okay, thank you for the tip. I appreciate the tip, but I just want you to know, brother, as soon as I'm done with this, I'm coming back to smash Biden
Yeah.
and Buttigieg. So anyway, I just had to say.
I'm right there with you. I think that they are. I think that I don't think at this point I don't think that anybody is a viable, even Bloomberg. I would hope that I know people because the mainstream media they're basically trying to say if you combine Klobuchar and you combine the centrists,
Yep.
then they beat
Yep.
Bernie, right? Okay, cool. But we all know that I mean, like anybody who knows anything about
It
politics
doesn't work like that.
that's not how it's gonna play out.
Right.
And the polls show that in head-to-heads, Bernie smashes everybody head-to-head.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that you have all of these candidates, and people are like, "Well, I mean, if there's 5 people in it, I like Amy. Yeah, I like Biden. You know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
you just
Yeah.
get like on the ends. But if you just give people 2 options and they have to go left or right, black or you know what I mean, black or white, whatever, they're gonna go. The majority of people are gonna go, yeah, Bernie's the most electable. I like him the most. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, and they're gonna go Bernie's way. That's why I feel like the establishment, because a part of me thought, I was like, why aren't they pushing for like a hot second? I was like, why aren't they pushing for the centrists to all drop out and rally around Biden? You know what I mean? Like I was
Right. Right.
Bloomberg became like a real thing. And then later on, I started to see, like, especially after like Iowa and New Hampshire, how those played out. I was like, oh yeah, if they could just take like 8% of the delegates from Bernie here, 12 here, you know what I'm saying, and just siphon off a lot of the votes on the edges. And then by the time they get to the convention, you already, I think the fix is in.
Yeah.
I think they're playing it. That's basically their thought process there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
Right.
do you think that any time in the next couple of weeks, do you think who do you think drops out? Do you think
So right along with what you're saying, right? There's an article that came out today that shows that Bloomberg is starting to put the pressure on Amy Klobuchar, Pete Buttigieg, and Biden's team,
Mhm.
and he's using the excuse that if y'all don't get out of the way now, Bernie Sanders is going to have a delegate lead that's insurmountable.
Yep. Yep.
And I'm like, the gall of this little bastard. Like, you
Well,
little.
hey, Ben, he bought the party though. So he wants
He man, he has purchased the party and he's about to outmuscle the party. And this is my biggest concern with him. Never mind the fact that he's an oligarch.
Yep.
Never mind the fact that he is literally the ruling elite. My question is, who's going to check him when he's in power? President Bloomberg, he is the 9th richest man in the country. Who is going to tell him no and to stop? He could buy you out. As soon as you say no, he could get rid of you and replace you in 5 seconds. He'll have the best talent on the way from California to the White House within 5 minutes of firing you. Who's going to check this man? And so a lot of people are like, oh, he's not going to be beholden to anybody because it's his own money. That's the thing. who is going to be able to put pressure on him either morally or politically? Nobody. That's going to be a wrap for democracy.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, and democracy is already kind of hanging in the balance right now because of what's been transpiring in these. I mean, for me, in 2016, that was, I don't know how you took it. That was like crazy to me what happened in 2016. I'm like, as much as I voted, I've been voting since I'm 38 years old. I've been voting since I was 16. So since 2000, right? I remember voting 2000 all the way. I voted in, every presidential election, so on and so forth, right? So I had never, I mean, what happened to Al Gore, that was, at that time with the internet wasn't how it is now, social media. So, I think we just kind of didn't connect all the dots in that moment, right? But watching what happened in 2016 was really like, I was like, okay, yeah. What we got, like, like on democracy from 1 to 10, we have like, our democracy is at like a 5 right now, right? Like it just doesn't, it's really, we have to work twice as hard to get the same outcome as every other country. And when I say we, I mean like the working class. We have to overwhelm the polls. We have to overwhelm the voting. You know what I mean? Like that's the only way for us to win at this point. So moving forward, how do you, like you were saying, like if Bloomberg wins, how do you think in the end? I'm sorry, if he ends up stealing this election, right? Do you think that we just pack it up?
Let me tell you something.
You know what I'm saying? What do you think happens after that?
Let me tell you something, man. I am mild-mannered. I think anybody who follows me on Twitter knows that, like, it takes a lot for me to cuss in public.
Yep.
I'm a laid-back dude. I'm a father of 3.
Mm-hmm.
I want my kids to grow up in a nice, peaceful, stable system. And I am not the revolutionary that is going to take it to the streets. But let me tell them something. This is a bridge too far.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you got people like me who basically just wants to chill and let's go to brunch, or really, I don't like brunch. Let's go to happy hour, right? Yeah. We had a hard day at work. Everybody show up, first round's on me, right? Yep. That's the kind of dude I am. But you got me pushed to the point where I'm like, this is it. Do not cross this. This is the line in the sand. If the Democratic Party gives the party itself over to a Republican, racist, misogynistic oligarch who is the ruling elite, then that means that we have nothing, that they have stolen democracy from us. Completely. They have stolen the democracy completely from us. And let me tell you something, man, as mild-mannered as I am, a lot of people, make him come like, who does this guy think he is? Like, oh, he thinks he's radical. No, I honestly don't think I'm radical. You should meet some of my friends. Yeah. My friends to the left of me think I'm a soft, lame. I mean, they think I'm milquetoast as they come, man. Yep. And I'm telling you, I don't have no control over them. I'm not going to be able to tell them to, nor would I, because they have crossed the line. The Democratic Party would have crossed a line in the sand for which I don't know that we can return. And so one thing that I'm trying to channel all of our energy into is letting the Democratic Party know in advance. Like, we're not going to wait till Milwaukee. They would love for 1 million people to come to Milwaukee, and then they have to shut us down with the Army Reserves like they did in Kent State. Right? Yes. They've done it before. They don't fear our violent protests. What they have to fear is the fact that we will organize. We will organize to make sure that not another Democrat, unless they are a progressive or unless they're our cousin Pookie, who we have been working on his campaign for the last 6 months, but not another Democrat is going to get a vote from us if they allow the ruling elite to come and purchase the Democratic Party.
Do you think that a third party may come out of this?
I can't really speak to the third party. I'm not on the pro side of anything at this point. I'm not even, I am supporting Bernie Sanders, but I'm not out here pushing his campaign. I am not opposed to a third party, but I'm not out here pushing anybody's third party. What I'm pushing is the fact that we cannot get past this. This is a bridge too far, and Bloomberg cannot be the Democratic nominee under any circumstances. That's what I'm pushing, and that we have to use not violence, not protest in the streets. I mean, you could protest, right? Go protest. Protest is fine. Yeah. Protest is totally fine, but people who are waiting on a class revolution, right? People who are waiting on, Molotov cocktails and all that kind of stuff, that's not it. That's not going to work. That's not how we fix this problem. This problem has to be fixed by us using the only thing that we have left, and that is our vote. And the Democratic Party knows without us showing up, particularly black people have to show up and overperform. Like we have to show up, 60% of black people have to show up to vote, which is more than the average amount of people who vote in other demographics, right?
Mm-hmm.
But of that 60% that show up to vote, 90% of us have to vote for the Democratic Party. Now, if just 5% of us decide to stay home, 5% of that 60% decide to stay home, they lose. And what I'm trying to tell them is not only will you lose the presidency, but we're going to make sure that every single person that has endorsed this man, every person that has been silent, they took money and they were silent. Stacey Abrams, here in Georgia, she took $5 million, but now she's kind of making excuses for them. I want them to know that we will never stop organizing against them. This will follow them the rest of their political lives, and there's nothing they can do to stop us because it is our prerogative to organize, and it is our prerogative to vote or not to vote. And what we will be organizing is a mass collection of people who refuse to support the people who turned over our party to an oligarch.
Yes, that's well said, because that is a conversation that I have had with many people who they have said basically like it won't change until it gets violent. You know what I mean? Like that's how they think, right?
Yeah.
And I try to explain to them like,
no, that's exactly what they want.
That's what they want you to do. They're ready for that war. You know what I'm saying? Like they can, because that and those are the same people that, and I'm not knocking anybody's idea or whatever, but those are the same people that think that like Martin Luther King was weak, and I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like,
let me look. I have reevaluated Martin Luther King so much so in the last 2 weeks, in the last week, because if you honestly think about it, nonviolence is not about pacifism. Nonviolence is not about civility. Nonviolence is not about us not being willing to scrap.
Yep.
Like some of the bravest people you're going to ever find are people who have been living on the edge of poverty, people who've been living on the edge of homelessness, and you take away their hope and all they have is hopelessness, you would be surprised at how not nonviolent they really are, right?
Yeah.
And so there's not a lack of courage. It's not because of fear that we're nonviolent. We're nonviolent because we're smarter than the system. They can crush any violent movement they want. There's not a power on the face of the planet that can stop the United States military and the reserve. Do you think that they can't stop our protests?
They can stop our protests. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, they can absolutely crush us.
Yeah.
And then we'll be out of the news cycle in 2 weeks. We'll be martyrs to our little movement, and we'll be out of the news cycle in less than 2 weeks, and they would have forgotten about us, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what they can never force us to do is to participate. They can't make us get out of the bed and go participate. And so if we withhold that, we withhold power from them. And so it's not nonviolence because anybody's scared. No, it's nonviolence because that's the smartest way to get it done right now.
Yeah, it's also, it doesn't make any sense to levy the claim of cowardness, towards a person that practices nonviolence, because to go out there, you think an afraid person would stand toe to toe. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, of course they're not afraid. They just understand, like Fred Hampton would say. Fred Hampton said, "You don't fight fire with fire." Like it doesn't make any sense. So if they want to get brolic and they want to get violent, you're saying that now I got to get brolic and I have to get violent to defeat them. It doesn't. All it's going to do is just keep escalating, and then
and here's the escalation that I like. This is. Listen, if we get our hands on some Molotov cocktails, they've got the police. All right. So let's say we get the police. They've got the reserves. Let's say we get the reserves. They got the military. Let's say we get us a tank. They got nukes. Game over. The game has been over.
They got drones. They got
drones, man. They got drones. They're listening to our conversation right now. Like, I don't want to sound paranoid, but listen, don't you think they got a file on me already?
Yeah, they got a file on you that you're a threat. I'm a threat. You know what I mean? Like,
what I mean? So they ready, man. They got everything they need. They probably got whatever your vice is, whatever, like, don't tell us nobody on the air, but whatever your vice is, if it's a particular type of woman, they got that woman lined up, ready to come meet you at a function in about 2 months, man. They got them ready. They got them lined up. If your vice is some drugs, they got somebody who's going to be there, whatever they can do to stop us. But what we would be doing foolishly to give them the easiest way to stop us is by trying to handle this through violence. And the only reason this is in the conversation is because I need, this is not a lecture to the left. I'm not telling the left what to do. Man, y'all do whatever the Lord lays on your heart. I can't control you, nor would I even pretend to try.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm trying to tell to centrists in the Democratic Party is you're getting ready to cross a line that we don't know what's going to happen after that, because what you're doing is you're snatching the hope away from an entire generation that really wasn't fucking with you from beginning.
For real. What Pac said, I ain't a killer, but don't push me. And
yeah.
I mean, it's like, there's only so much, because like we understand. I like to think people on the left, we process things differently. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm talking about the real left. I know people, what people think is the left now is like, they think Elizabeth. They think
Bernie is left.
Yeah, Bernie is left, right? I think Bernie is left, but
Bernie is leftish. But man, you know, there's some folks way to the left of Bernie in our orbit.
I think I'm more left than Bernie. I think that a lot of the black people I speak to are more left than Bernie. They just don't. Because a lot of black people, they're talking about reparations. I mean, that's like the most progressive idea that I could think of. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and they're like ready to, like you're saying, they're ready to not, they're ready to hold their vote, but over that. And I'm like, hey, do your thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Hey, you do what you got to do. I wish that y'all would have had that same approach when Obama ran, when, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would be more in favor of it then when we had those milquetoast candidates. But now, I'm like, we got somebody in there that might actually do something for us. So I would prefer that we like did that at another time. But hey, like I said, I'm not gonna tell y'all when to, what to do or whatever. But
and I think if you don't mind me jumping in right there, I think everybody has their line in the sand, right? Mm-hmm. And for members of the ADOS community, their line in the sand has been clear. You either support reparations or we don't support you. Like, I didn't necessarily agree with that particular line in the sand, but that's not my line, right? That's theirs, and that's their prerogative. For me, it's when you tell me that you're going to take one of the rulers and put him in power over the party that's ostensibly supposed to represent the people. I can't go there with you. I can't. Crazy. Yeah.
I'm saying that's crazy. That doesn't make any sense to me. I do you think that, what do you think the likelihood of Bernie Sanders winning, having a plurality going into the
convention,
and them just just straight up robbing them and giving it to Bloomberg? Because you would have to think that like Biden's not even an option.
Yep. I think Biden is on his way out, man, and that's why they're rallying around. Everybody's jumping ship from Biden to Bloomberg. Do I think he can do it? I think he absolutely can, because the only way they could stop him is if, like Bloomberg's team said, Klobuchar, Pete, and Biden all drop out at the same time. And I'm hoping that Amy Klobuchar has as much spine as I feel like she's a badass, to be quite honest with you. I would never vote for her.
Yeah.
Okay, hang on. She would be my fifth pick, right? And if it came down to her versus Bloomberg, man, I'm gonna get out there and put on an Amy Klobuchar shirt. But I'm hoping, I know. Brother, listen, I know, like, never, ever would I ever, but we're talking about a man who not only, like, we didn't even talk about it in this conversation. Mayor Bloomberg is also an authoritarian.
Yes.
In the audio that I pulled out, you can hear his governing philosophy. Mm-hmm. And it is, if I don't like something, and I think that something is a problem, like minorities in the minority community and violence in the minority community, then what do? I don't try to solve it by fixing their economic condition. Nope. I send the troops, right? Yep. Same thing with the soda tax. What does he do? He said, poor people don't know how to eat, so we have to control them. We'll control them with taxes, right? Yeah. And so time and time again, we've seen his governing philosophy, which is authoritarianism. And so for me, it's not, Donald Trump is, honestly, they are the same evil. Both of them are authoritarian. Both of them are Republican, who want to hurt the middle class and the working class. Both of them are billionaires who want to preserve their wealth, except the one on our side, ostensibly, Mayor Bloomberg, is worth 10 times as much. What is
crazy? It's remarkable.
Go ahead, go for it.
No, I was going to say, so do you think that I think that Bloomberg is a bigger threat than Donald Trump because
Hmm.
he's smarter than Donald Trump.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
they say, like, okay, so like his thing is Mike gets it done, right? Like, you can tell me, I don't
That's
think
scary.
Trump could have ever been mayor of New York. Like, I don't think he ever could have won if he would have ran. I don't think he would have ever won. And Bloomberg won twice, right? Or three times? Three times.
Twice as a Republican. They kicked him out as a Republican so he wouldn't run the third time, and then he ran as an independent.
Then he ran as an independent. Okay, I knew. I
Mm-hmm.
thought it was three in there. Okay, yeah. I don't think Trump would. I don't think Trump ever could have been mayor of New York.
No,
I think he
he's not
thought
smart
about it.
enough.
He's not. I
Right.
just don't. I don't see it. So do you think that Bloomberg, if he gets in, that he's a greater threat? Or
Yes. Yes,
yes?
because he would quiet everything down.
Okay.
There won't be any more sensationalization. There
Mm-hmm.
would be every day there'll be a press conference. He would give access to all the people who all they want is access.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so
Mm-hmm.
things will get back to normal. And in the background, he will be making decisions that will ensure that the ruling elite never lose their grip on power.
Wow. Wow, man. Yeah, that's exactly what I think it's going to look like with him too. That's the crazy. I think he's a he's like Epsom salt. Like he's just he's just gonna like heal the wounds a little bit, and like you say, he's gonna lull everybody back. I mean, I don't think he's gonna lull everybody back to sleep, but yeah, I think of that a lot of people are gonna be like, we got the orange man out. You know how people
Yeah.
like to call him
Yeah.
everything but his name. We got the orange man out. We got 45 out of whatever.
Yeah. Yep.
And the never Trumpers and the quote unquote the resistors and all those people.
Mm-hmm.
So they and then it's like and then they, like you said though in the very beginning it's like they're gonna look up though and they're gonna realize like, well, we to get to let the fox out of the hen house, like we had to open up the door to let the fox out of the hen house, right? Like he
Yeah.
got in, we had to let him out, and instead of wolf jumping. So I think that's what's going to end up happening personally if Bloomberg wins. Me personally, man, I'm an optimistic person. I try to be, right? Because I don't like. I feel like if I don't believe in some, you know what I mean? Like if I don't believe in people or that we can overcome, then what am I doing this for? You know what I mean? So
Right.
I think my heart tells me that we're going to overcome. My heart tells me that we're going to overperform in the polls. I think Bernie's going to win it outright. And you know what I'm saying? And I'm really fighting for that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's my thing. But if that doesn't happen,
Man, we take it to the streets, man.
take it to the
Like
street.
we don't want to take it to the streets, right? But we cannot not respond, right?
Yes.
We
Yes.
have to respond. We don't take this lying down. Like this is what I'm trying to tell people. Like, listen, as much as I want this place to be a peaceful future for my kids, we cannot take this lying down.
It won't be peaceful though. If you take it lying down, it won't be peaceful.
Right. It's going to be hard. Like it's like stop and frisk was not peaceful. Right.
Yep.
And so all the people who were quiet about stop and frisk, there was an unbelievable, a perverse amount of violence that was happening, that was occurring to Black men in New York City while everyone else was going to fucking brunch.
Yep.
And so what I tell people is like, at that point, being peaceful would be violence. That's what I'm saying. So there's two sides to every single one of us. We could go to happy hour and we can restore some sanity to this country, and my kids can grow up in a really peaceful society. But if you force us, even corny dudes like me will be in the streets. And there's so many more people who have just been waiting for this opportunity. And what I'm trying to tell them is like, I don't think they realize that we're at that Rubicon. Like we're at that line, we're at that threshold. The last thing that we had was our hope to fix our material conditions through this electoral process. And if you snatch that away from us, how do you think I don't know how they're going to respond.
I think they're going to go to the streets, like you're saying. I don't see any other, you know what I mean? Like so Pac had another quote. He did this interview. When it talk politics, I could quote Pac all day because
I love it.
That's what he did. But so Pac made this quote. I mean, he had this quote. He was in this interview and he was saying like, how long do you expect he was saying like, I don't know, you probably watched the interview. He was talking about like if there's like a party at a hotel and all the people are inside eat, right? And there's a bunch of people outside starving, and they look inside the door and they say, dang, everybody's in there eating. They're going to knock on the door and be like, hey, what's up? Can I get some food? And then, nah, get out, people slam the door, get out of here, right? And then, they'll knock a little bit harder next time. Hey, can I get some, hey, you guys mind if we come in? Can we get a little food? No,
exactly.
Eventually they're going to start chanting, and you know what I mean? And the next thing the pitchforks and the torches will be out. You know what I'm saying? So I hope it doesn't get to that point. I really, really, really hope it doesn't get to that point. But you're right. If it doesn't happen, there needs to be consequences. I mean, if it does happen, there need to be consequences. And to your point as well, the old saying goes, a revolution won't be televised, right? You're right. This revolution isn't being televised. It's not like they're trying to make it seem like it's anything but class warfare, right?
Oh my God. I never thought of it like that. Damn right, man. That's exactly right. Keep going. Now don't stop. Go ahead.
No. So that seems to be like their whole game is like deflecting and like, oh, it's Trump, right? It's like it's Trump. It's not class. It's not your conditions. It has nothing to do with that. It's let's get rid of Trump. That's why I don't understand. I really don't, because I don't. Trump is terrible, but I think Biden will be just as bad for the working class. I think any of the milquetoast candidates will be just as bad for the working class, monetarily speaking. As far as our conditions are going to get any better,
right.
Any of them.
So I think it's harm reduction at that point. Like AOC says, it's like, we're not going to get anything good out of Joe Biden. Like he's made that clear. Yes. Amy Klobuchar is extremely passionate about not doing a goddamn thing for us. That's her greatest passion.
About not doing anything.
And she's fucking passionate about that, right? Pete Buttigieg is like, listen, guys, I want to do something, but I'm not going to do really anything. We're going to do Medicare for all who want it. You lying little look, that means you're not going to do a goddamn thing for us, right? So in that regard, you're right. None of these milquetoast liberals are going to do anything to improve the material condition of the working class, of which, believe it or not, I've been a member of for a very long time. I ain't making no money, man. I'm out here hustling like everybody else, right? 2 or 3 jobs, and the only thing is, like, I happen to have a voice that somehow cut through all the layers of Twitter and gave me an opportunity to be heard. That's the only thing I've got. Mm-hmm. And so you're right. These milquetoast liberals, they're not going to improve our condition. But AOC is saying, like, but what you have with one of them versus Trump is harm reduction, because not only is Trump not going to help, Trump is going to actively make it worse for us as well as other marginalized communities. Now, everybody make their own choice. Like, would you vote for Amy over Trump? That's your prerogative. I'm not going to try to convince you. The only thing I'm trying to convince people of is that Bloomberg is an existential threat to democracy itself, because what he represents, being the ruling elite, stepping down from the pantheon of billionaires to stop us by suspending democracy with his cash. He's buying democracy from us with his pocket change. That is an existential threat to democracy that I think people need to understand. This is our class warfare of our generation.
Absolutely. Well said. Do you think Bloomberg making the debate stage is a good thing or a bad thing ultimately?
I think it's a necessary evil. And I think that Bernie and the rest of them better make the best use they can of it. They need to crush him. But Bloomberg is smart. I think some people feel like he's not going to do well tonight. I think Bloomberg is actually going to do really well in terms of the horse race, right? I hope he gets devastated. I hope they politically disembowel this fool in front of the entire nation. But he's smart. He's slick. He has the ability to navigate conversations. I've been watching a lot of content of his. I don't think anybody should take him for granted. But I think it's a necessary evil, because the country really needs to interrogate his beliefs and his governing philosophy. And if we don't get an opportunity to do that, then we would have not only had democracy purchased from the outside, but democracy would have been purchased without us even know what we're buying.
Got you. Do you think that he could, if he never made the debate stage and he never did any like major interviews, right? And he
could still buy this election.
You think he can win it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Cash is powerful, man. Cash is powerful.
That's so scary to think about.
And this is his pocket change. Let me give you the math. I've been doing the math. I'm trying to figure out how to make people understand how rich this man is, how rich a billionaire is, right? If you take the median income, no, let's just take $10,000. How many people would, if somebody gave you $10,000 right now, would that not help you out? That would be like,
Yeah, that'd be good.
that would change a lot of people's lives. This man can afford, he can give 100,000 people $10,000 and not even flinch, not even miss a beat. That's $1 billion. He's worth 62, right? So maybe that doesn't help. Let's say the median income in this country, which is like $56,000. How many people could he buy? I mean, when I say buy, I mean he buys their full-time labor every day, 40 hours a week for 56,000. That's where most of us work, right? If you make 56, you're doing all right. This man can buy 1 million Americans, and still have enough money left over to be a billionaire.
Wow.
So this man is worth 1 million Americans working 40 hours a week. And what I'm telling you, man, is that he's flexing those muscles by just taking 1 billion. He's taking 1 billion and he's targeting about 1,000 people who are working for him now, and he's pouring money into them. He's buying silence. I mean, and he's running all these advertisements, which is so yeah, that's my story, man.
I didn't think, honestly, I didn't think he could win if he didn't make the debate stage. And I was in the camp of, like, at first I was like, how I was like you, or my wife was like that. My wife was like, no, he needs to be on stage. We got it. You know what I'm saying? Like she wants them to like go after him. And I was like, man, I believe that if he never got on the debate stage, because I feel like I'm sure I think it legitimizes his candidate, his run, you know, like that much more by putting him on the stage and people seeing him. You know, but you're right though. I mean, it is like it's kind of like how they did with the impeachment. It was like I think impeachment was a joke. I don't think they should have done it, whatever. But at the same time, a part of me is like, but they kind of like had to do it though, right?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like they like as much as I disagree with it, as much as I thought it was a farce and a sham, like they had to, the people wanted it done. I wish they would listen to the people more, but they had to do it, and here we are. You know what I mean? Like let's deal with it. So hopefully, after tonight, we can get a lot of. I know you're going to be on it. I know a lot of independent outlets are going to be on it as well.
Oh yeah.
And hopefully we can get a lot of terrible sound bites out of that guy, because I feel like it's bound to happen. I know he's been rehearsing, and but like what am my guy saying? In Bloodsport, he said, "Bag don't punch back." Like so you can rehearse all you want to with your Syracuse, like, but they're not gonna hit you like Bernie is, and like Warren, because Warren is slick too.
Yeah. Oh man, listen, let me tell you something. Elizabeth Warren. Yeah, no, I don't want to talk about Warren because we need them to come over to our camp. But as soon as Elizabeth is I don't know, maybe we'll wait till after the election. But man, Elizabeth is low key. She's slick. That's all I'll say.
She's super slick. You preach it to the choir.
You already know.
I think she's like incredibly slick. In this regard, I'm happy she's slick. Tonight, I'm hoping she's slicker. She's slicker than oil. I'm hoping she goes out there and just
do the damn thing, man.
Do the damn thing on this guy, because we need that. And it'll be good. It'll be good to have the perceived progressive part of the party, to see them together again, because we haven't seen Bernie and her. Early on, they were just like tag teaming people. It was like,
man. And then she turned the corner on him. I'm like, whoa.
And then she busted a Yui on us. And we was like, oh, wait a minute.
Bro, that was the deepest cut of all, was that one right there. I'm like, damn.
I know you like, you like.
I was trying to like her. I was trying to like Elizabeth.
You did. I know. You like, you did. I personally, I never liked.
From the beginning, you never rocked with her.
I never rocked with her. I thought she would I'm telling you, man, I haven't voted for a Democratic president in my whole life. I never voted for Obama. I never voted.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I have a really simple process, and when I vote for people, right? It was at a certain level. So my process is this: if you take corporate money, and I've been on this since I've been able to vote. Like that was just the thing I always knew was like money in politics was bad, right? My dad taught me that, and so I just always believed that. So when it came, that's what I'm saying, because it seems like I should have voted for Obama, because I liked Obama as a person. You know what I'm saying? I thought he was like, I was like, oh, this is like the guy beyond being black. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I liked him. I thought he was a cool guy. So, but the first thing I did was I went to OpenSecrets.com. I looked it up. I saw who he was taking money from. I literally printed it out. I printed out who Clinton was taking money from, and I put them next to each other. And lo and behold, it was a lot of the same people. And I was like,
Yep.
okay, so what makes me think that he's gonna do anything different than her? Like that was like literally what, you know, and I didn't.
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. You're ahead of the curve. I'm behind the curve. Even in that instance, I realized who Obama was when it was too late. He had already been elected, and he appointed Timothy Geithner as his Secretary of the Treasury.
That was
and
that
I was
the
like,
nail in the coffin.
I was like, oh, it sounds like Bruce Dixon over there at the Black Agenda Report, and them were prophetic. You know, and I'm gonna be honest with you, man. This has been. I don't. It takes me. I'm slow. I take my time. I get behind the 8 ball on a lot of things. But the reason I do it is because I know underneath me, man, I go harder than anybody else.
Yeah.
Like, and so like this, people who are like anybody who may be taken aback by some of my language about class warfare on Twitter, I just want you to know when I tell you that there are people to the left of me that are worse than me, I'm actually talking about me, right?
Yeah.
I'm actually talking about like we're not too far from setting this thing off, right? Because you're not going to spit in my face and tell me it's raining, right? Yeah. And so the reason I take my time, I want to make sure that they're sure that I'm sure that we all are in agreement there. This is an irreconcilable difference, right? If there's any way that we can salvage this, that is my preference. But once we cross the Rubicon and we have an irreconcilable difference, then I handle you the same way I handle Republicans, man. We address this the same way. I will come after you every single day. And the thing is like, it's not just me. It ain't me. It's us, to be so corny and cliche, right? Yeah. It's all of us. There's an entire movement that has burgeoned over the last couple of years, man. That we're not playing this game no more.
No, you could see it at the you could just like a lot of the Republicans, you know, they didn't know what was going on until the Tea Party came up and slapped them in the face, right? It was like, look, man, y'all playing around, right? And then and then they still didn't know until they saw the Trump rallies, and they were like, hey, like what's like, wow, you guys like that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they didn't know. That's what's happening right now with Bernie. It's like they really didn't know that there was like people out there that's like, yeah, you guys think the reason why you guys never knew that we were like this is because you never gave us a reason to be like this. You know what I'm saying? So we didn't have anybody to like gravitate around. And
right.
You know what I mean? Like, so the closest thing we had actually wasn't Obama. And Obama was, hey man, Obama was dope. He was magnetic. You know what I mean? Like he had it. He had
Listen, you ain't got it. You preach to the choir to me on this one, because let me tell you something. The folks who I don't allow to talk about Obama are white folks. White folks, y'all stay over there for a minute and just be quiet, because this is a family conversation. Now, when we black folks and we talking about Obama, don't get me wrong, white folks got they have some robust critiques of him, but I don't want to hear it. Right? Y'all stay over there. When it comes to Obama in the black community, we need to call a spade, man. Like, what did he do for us? Right?
Nothing.
What did he do besides lecture us?
He didn't do enough.
He told us to pull our pants up. He told us to pull our pants up more than he actually did legislation to help us.
That's crazy.
Right? And so there's plenty. I'm okay. I'm not going to trip when I see his face on a mural. I'm like, that's cool, man. He did the thing. He's a great he was the first black president. That's a thing that matters. But if we go underneath the curtain, like if we go underneath the surface, then we got plenty to say about him. I just don't want to hear from any white folks right now, because the wound is the wound of racism and segregation and Jim Crow. That's too fresh for y'all to be jumping on the first black president. You know what I mean? From the left or from the right.
And the way that they do it is so disingenuous. I tell people this. I'm the same way too. I'm like, the reason why you and I dislike Obama are for totally different reasons. Yes. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I actually, here's what I'm saying. Y'all dislike him because of who he is, like as a person. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause y'all don't hate his policies. He actually did some cool stuff for most of y'all. But the reason, but I love him who he is, like as a person. Like I'm like I'll be like mad because I'm like, dang, I like this dude. Like I just saw him the other day at the I didn't see him personally, you know, but they got the videos of him at the All-Star game, and I'm like, no other president that we have ever seen has been able to like be that personable with, you know what I'm saying? Like I just he's that guy. I really, really dig him in that regard. But as a politician, I don't separate the two when in real life, because I'm like, dude, people die because of the decisions you make. So I would be remiss to be like just so forgiving that like, yeah, you started 5 new wars. and thousands of people perish because of your decisions, right? Like
Right.
you drop 10,000 bombs on people, and you know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
can't just turn a blind eye to that. I'm sorry, and I
Yeah.
know a lot of people will tell you that like they'll tell you like that's like when you talk about Bloomberg, they'll tell you that's just business, and you're like, wait,
Hold
no,
on,
it's
hold
not.
on, Swallow. Like, yeah, come on, man. Let's and the fact, look, man, there's so much to talk about, man. Listen, I have to jump on another interview, but before I do that, man, listen, I appreciate this conversation and I appreciate your type of analysis, and I hope that I can help promote your show as much as possible because you've dropped a lot of nuggets in this episode, man. It's been really dope.
Appreciate that, Ben, man. Thanks for coming on, man. I hope to catch up with you soon. And
Absolutely. I followed you on Twitter and then make sure you share this link with me so we can expose it.
yep, absolutely, man.
All
Talk to
right.
you
Thanks,
soon.
brother. Talk soon.
No
Bye-bye.
problem. Have a good day.
You too now.